My neighbor hated my bird bath. So I installed something she hated even more, and legally couldn't touch. The flashlight beam cut through the humid night air, illuminating a scene that looked like something out of a low-budget horror movie, or perhaps a National Geographic documentary gone wrong. Hundreds of small, leathery shapes were swirling in a chaotic vortex above the fence line, their high-pitched squeaks piercing the silence of the suburbs. Below the swarm, huddled under a patio umbrella that was currently being bombarded by guano, was my neighbor, Brenda. She was screaming. It wasn't a scream of pain, it was a scream of pure, primal terror, the kind that scrapes the lining of your throat raw. I stood on my back porch, sipping a glass of iced tea, watching the chaos unfold with a calmness that bordered on sociopathic. I wasn't scared. I wasn't surprised. I had engineered this. I had built the box. I had planted the pole. And now, as the red and blue lights of a police cruiser flickered against the side of my house, I knew the trap had finally, perfectly, snapped shut. "Officer!" Brenda shrieked, pointing a shaking finger at the sky. "Shoot them! Shoot them all! They're attacking me!" The officer, a young guy who looked like he'd rather be handling a domestic dispute than a wildlife invasion, ducked as a bat swooped low over his head. "Ma'am, I can't shoot the air. Please step inside. It's him." Brenda spun around, her eyes locking onto me standing in the shadows of my deck. "He summoned them. He brought the plague to my house. Arrest him." I took a slow sip of tea. The ice clinked against the glass. It was the only sound I made. To understand why I turned my backyard into a sanctuary for the creatures of the night, you have to go back 3 weeks. You have to understand the mosquitoes, the water, and the absolute misery of living next to a woman who views the natural world as a personal insult. It started with a bird bath. I like birds. I like watching the cardinals and the blue jays splash around while I drink my morning coffee. I bought a nice, heavy stone bird bath and placed it in the center of my garden. It was peaceful. It was harmless. Until the mosquitoes came. We had a wet spring. The humidity was off the charts. Mosquitoes were everywhere. I didn't mind them much, I put on spray. But Brenda minded. Brenda is the type of neighbor who vacuums her driveway. She is the type of neighbor who measures the distance between her marigolds with a ruler. And she decided that my birdbath was ground zero for the West Nile virus. She didn't come over and talk to me. She didn't ask me to change the water more often. She called the city. I was at work when I got the call. "Code enforcement," the voicemail said. "Report of standing water breeding vectors. Potential health hazard." I came home to find an orange sticker on my front door. Violation notice. Abate immediately or face fines up to $500. I walked to the backyard. The bird bath was empty. Brenda was standing at the fence, holding a garden hose, spraying her hydrangeas with a look of smug satisfaction plastered across her face. "Brenda," I said, peeling the orange sticker off my hand. "Did you report my bird bath?" She didn't look at me. She just kept spraying. I reported a health hazard. The bugs were eating me alive on my own patio. I can't enjoy my Chardonnay with swarms of pests breeding 20 feet away. "It's fresh water," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "I change it every day. The birds drink it." "Birds are dirty," she sniffed. "And the water sits there. It attracts them." The city agreed with me. "You have to keep it dry." "So I can't have a bird bath?" "Not if it has water in it," she smiled, finally turning to face me. "Buy a statue if you want decoration. But I won't have you farming diseases next to my property." I felt the heat rising in my neck. It was a physical sensation, a tightening of the muscles behind my ears. She had gone straight to the nuclear option over a bowl of water. "Fine," I said. "I'll keep it dry." "Good," she nodded. "And while you're at it, do something about the bugs. Spray your yard. Use those chemicals. I don't care what you do, just kill them. Chemicals? I asked. I thought you were all about organic living, Brenda. You yelled at me last year for using Roundup on the driveway. That was different, she snapped. That was groundwater runoff. This is airborne. Just fix it. I want a natural solution if possible, but honestly, I just want them gone. No chemicals if you can help it, but I don't care. Just get rid of the pests. Natural solution, I repeated. The gears in my head started to turn. You want me to control the mosquito population naturally? Without standing water? Yes, she shouted, turning off her hose. Is that so hard to understand? Use your brain, for once. She stormed back into her house. I stood there in the humid air, slapping a mosquito off my arm. Natural. No water. Pest control. I went inside and opened my laptop. I started researching. I looked up citronella plants. I looked up essential oils. And then, I stumbled onto a forum for organic gardening. Thread, best way to eliminate mosquitoes without pesticides. Top comment, bats. A single brown bat can eat up to 1,000 mosquitoes in an hour. Build a house, and they will come. I stared at the screen. Bats. I looked up the local species. The little brown bat. The Mexican free-tailed bat. They were common in our area. They needed places to roost during the day. They liked heat. They liked height. And most importantly, they were protected. I spent the rest of the night reading. I read about the Federal Endangered Species Act. I read about state wildlife protections. I learned that once a bat colony establishes a maternity roost, a place where females raise their pups, it is illegal, federally illegal, to disturb them, move them, or block them out until the season ends in late autumn. It was perfect. It was a biological weapon wrapped in a wooden box. I didn't buy a small kit from Amazon. I went to the lumber yard. I bought cedar. Rough-sawn cedar, because bats need texture to grip. I bought exterior-grade screws. I bought a gallon of black non-toxic exterior paint. I spent the entire weekend in my garage with the door closed. I built a nursery house. It was massive. 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide, with 4 internal chambers spaced exactly 3/4 of an inch apart. It was designed to hold not just a few bats, but a colony. A colony of up to 300. I painted the outside black. Bats like heat. The black paint would absorb the sun, turning the inside of the box into a cozy, 100-degree sauna, perfect for raising pups. Then came the pole. I bought a 20-foot steel pipe. I dug a hole. A deep hole. I mixed 4 bags of concrete. I positioned the hole exactly 6 inches from the property line. My side of the line. But the face of the bat house. The landing pad. It was angled perfectly. It faced southeast to catch the morning sun, which just so happened to be directly facing Brenda's pristine, white-tiled patio. When the bats dropped out of the house at dusk to fly, their trajectory would take them in a swooping arc right over her expensive wicker furniture. I erected the pole on a Tuesday while Brenda was at her bridge club. It stood like a monolith. A black obelisk against the blue sky. When Brenda came home, she saw it immediately. She marched over to the fence. "What is that?" she demanded, squinting up at the box. "Pest control," I said, patting the steel pole. "You said you wanted a natural solution. No chemicals. No water." "It's ugly," she sneered. "It looks like a coffin on a stick." "What's inside?" "Owls. Just waiting for nature to take its course," I smiled. "Well, paint it beige," she commanded. "It clashes with my siding." "Can't," I said. Needs to be black for thermal regulation. It's strictly utilitarian, Brenda. Just like you asked. She huffed and went inside. She had no idea. Now, here is the tricky part. You can build a house, but you can't force them to move in. Sometimes it takes years. I didn't have years. The mosquitoes were biting now. I ordered a bottle of bat call. It's a pheromone spray. It smells musky. I sprayed the landing pad. I sprayed the chambers. Then, I waited. 3 days passed. Nothing. On the 4th night, I saw a scout. A single, small shadow flitting around the box. It landed. It crawled inside. My heart leaped. The next morning, I checked the ground below the pole. A few tiny pellets of guano. They were here. News travels fast in the bat world. If a roost is good, warm, and safe, the colony moves in. And since we are near a creek, the mosquito population was a buffet. By the end of the week, the guano pile had grown. I could hear them during the day if I stood close to the pole, a high-pitched chittering and scratching. It was time for the debut. Brenda was hosting a party. Of course she was. It was Saturday night. She had 3 couples over. They were drinking wine, laughing loudly, and sitting around her fire pit. I sat on my darkened porch. I checked my watch. Sunset was at 8:14 p.m. At 8:20 p.m., the first one dropped. It fell out of the box, swooped down to gain speed, and zipped right over the fence. Then another. Then 3 more. Then, the floodgates opened. It was like a scene from Batman Begins. A steady stream of black shapes poured out of the box. They were hungry. They were fast. And they were everywhere. Brenda didn't notice at first. She was too busy talking about her new Pilates instructor. Then, a bat dived for a moth that was hovering near the patio light. It missed the moth and buzzed Brenda's hair. Ah, she swatted at the air. What was that? A bird? Probably a moth, her friend said. Then 5 more swooped down. They were feasting on the mosquitoes that had gathered around the guests. Oh my God, Brenda stood up. Those aren't birds. One of the guests screamed. It's a bat. It's a bat. Get inside, someone yelled. The colony was in full swing now. 200 of them, circling, diving, feasting. To me, it was a beautiful display of nature's efficiency. To Brenda and her country club friends, it was the apocalypse. They scrambled for the sliding glass door, knocking over chairs, spilling wine. Brenda was shrieking, covering her hair with her hands. They're attacking. They're attacking. They slammed the door shut. I could see them pressed against the glass, looking out at the swarm. I raised my glass of tea. You're welcome, I whispered. No more mosquitoes. The next morning, the war began. I was awakened at 8 a.m. by pounding on my door. It was Brenda. She looked like she hadn't slept. Her eyes were wild. You, she screamed before I even opened the screen door. You put rats in that box. Flying rats. Good morning, Brenda, I yawned. Did you notice the reduction in bug bites? I noticed the guano on my umbrella, she shrieked. I noticed my guests running for their lives. Take it down. Right now. Go get a ladder and take that box down. I can't do that, Brenda. Yes you can. It's your pole. It's your box. Take it down or I'm calling the police. I'm calling the city. I'm calling the CDC. Call them, I said calmly. Call them all. I will. She stomped off. She called the police first. That's where we started this story. The officer looked at the box. He looked at the guano. He looked at Brenda. Ma'am, the officer said, adjusting his belt. I can't make him take down a birdhouse. There's no law against birdhouses. It's not a birdhouse. Brenda yelled. It's a bat house. He's harboring vermin. It's a public nuisance. Sir, the officer turned to me. Are they domesticated bats? They are wild animals, officer, I said. They are indigenous wildlife. I just provided a habitat. Natural pest control. My neighbor insisted on it. I did not. Brenda screamed. You said no chemicals, I reminded her. Officer, make him take it down. I can't enforce that, the officer sighed. This is a civil matter. Or maybe code enforcement. But unless the bats are biting people, it's not a police matter. He left. Brenda was vibrating with rage. I'm calling animal control, she hissed. They'll gas them. I wouldn't do that if I were you, I warned her. Watch me. An hour later, the animal control van pulled up. A heavy-set guy with a net and a catch pole got out. Brenda met him at the driveway. They're in there. A whole nest. I want them gone. Exterminated. The guy walked into my yard. He looked up at the pole. He squinted. That's a bat house, he said. I know. Brenda yelled. Kill them. The guy shook his head. Can't. What do you mean you can't? That's your job. Lady, the guy said, spitting on the ground. Do you know what kind of bats those are? I don't care. The ugly kind. They look like little browns, the guy said. Or maybe Indiana bats. Hard to tell without a scope. But here's the thing. Bats are protected. Especially in a maternity colony. If there are pups in there, and this time of year, there probably are, it is a federal offense to disturb them. Brenda froze. Federal? Endangered Species Act, I chimed in, leaning against the porch railing. And the State Wildlife Code. Section 44. It is illegal to harass, harm, pursue, hunt, shoot, wound, kill, trap, capture, or collect any protected species. The animal control guy nodded at me. He knows his stuff. If I touch that box, I lose my license and I go to jail. If you touch that box, ma'am, you go to jail. And the fine is about $20,000. Brenda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. But they poop on my patio. Nature calls, the guy shrugged. Move your patio furniture. He got back in his truck and left. Brenda stood there. She looked at the black box. She looked at me. I'll get a lawyer, she whispered. I'll sue you for emotional distress. For loss of enjoyment of my property. Go ahead, I said. But ask your lawyer about the clean hands doctrine. You demanded a natural solution. You filed a complaint forcing me to remove the water. I complied. I provided a natural alternative. You created the conditions that necessitated the bats. She stormed back to her house. That was 2 days ago. Since then, the colony has only gotten more active. The guano is piling up. Brenda can't go outside past 8 p.m. She tried to put up a floodlight to scare them away, but I casually mentioned to her, across the fence, that harassing a protected species with light pollution is also a violation. She turned it off. I was gardening yesterday, mosquito-free, I might add, when a truck from the State Department of Natural Resources pulled up. A woman in a khaki uniform got out. She had binoculars. Hi, she called out. Are you the owner of the bat house? I am, I said, putting down my trowel. We got a report from animal control, she smiled. We don't see many successful maternity colonies in suburbia. This is fantastic. We'd like to monitor it. Maybe tag a few for research. Be my guest, I said. She handed me a sign. A metal, official-looking sign. Protected Wildlife Habitat. Do not disturb. U.S. Department of Interior. You should put this on the pole, she said. Just so the neighbors know. I took the sign. I walked over to the pole. I screwed it in at eye level, facing Brenda's kitchen window. Brenda was watching from behind her blinds. I saw the slats move. I gave the sign a little pat. My yard is bug-free. The flowers are blooming. The birds are back, drinking from the puddles when it rains. And every night at dusk, I sit on my porch and watch the show. It's better than TV. It's the sight of nature healing itself, one mosquito at a time. Brenda put her house on the market yesterday. The "for sale" sign went up this morning. I wonder if she'll tell the buyers about the neighbors. They're quiet during the day, but they really come alive at night. So, tell me. Am I the monster for turning my property into a federal wildlife sanctuary to torment my neighbor, or did she just drive herself batty?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.